Hi, I'm Sam from Pingza, and I'm going to cover off a few very sort of trendy buzzwords in wine at the moment. Now, the first one is natural wine. Now, that's a bit of a funny one because by default, most wines are natural, but by this term, which does not have a legal definition at all, natural wine means wine that has had minimal manipulation in the cellar. And to be natural, you have to be organic or biodynamic, and very, very low sulfur. Now within there, we've already have three terms that also need explaining. So what is an organic wine? Now organic wine is simply wine made from organically grown grapes. So that's quite straightforward. Biodynamic is arguably a step up from organic, and that involves the principles of Rudolf Steiner, an Austrian philosopher from the 20s. And it's basically the whole idea that the world is a holistic place and the soil is a living organism, and to kind of treat soil and vine health. And it's kind of homeopathic, so you have lots of treatments that go onto the soil, and it is all about not using synthetic chemicals, pesticides, fertilizers. So I would call biodynamics organic plus, and it's very holistic. It follows the stages of the moon. It's a little bit bonkers, but it does seem to produce wines of immense purity and precision. So they are very interesting. The other word I used there was sulfur. Now, sulfur is a preservative and is used in winemaking as sulfur dioxide, and it stops oxidation. So if you think of an apple and it goes a bit brown, that's the air, that's it oxidizing, and you don't want that to happen in your wines. It creates these sort of appley flavors and can discolor it. So sulfur dioxide, it's not a bad thing. It's used in fairly low levels, certainly in winemaking. There's more sulfur in a bag of dried fruit, and people would never say that an apricot has given them a hangover. Now, in organic, biodynamic and natural wines, you can use sulfur, but you can use less sulfur, and they try and keep it to a minimum because some people do react to sulfur if you're asthmatic, for example, but it is quite rare. That is why it is a stated allergen on a bottle of wine. So if you turn over a bottle of wine, it will always say contains sulfites, and that is what is used in winemaking and winemaking practice. If it's not on the bottle, it'll be because there's no sulfur, but normally the labels scream no sulfur or preservative free or some such, because it's quite a big selling tool. The other thing that's interesting is in natural wines as well, they don't fine or filter. Now, this is when you kind of clarify the wine. So you're trying to make the wine look really lovely like this, lovely and bright and clear. But in order to do that, you're dropping something through the wine so it can pick up the kind of proteins and things that can create a haze. But some of these are not vegan friendly. You can use gelatin, you can use casein, which is a milk product, isinglass, which is fish bladder, and all kinds of weird and wonderful things that you wouldn't expect to find in a wine. So all it means, if a wine is vegan, it means that these things have not been used in the winemaking process and are vegan and vegetarian friendly. Although if you're a natural wine, you don't generally fine or filter. So I would say that pretty much all natural wines are organic and or biodynamic, vegan, and very low or no sulfur. So the whole things combine into a slightly complex thing, but actually each separate section is quite straightforward. So I hope that's helped explain a little bit about these trendy wine buzzwords. And the only way to find out if you like the wines is go out, buy some examples. There's a lot on the shelves nowadays. So get experimenting. Cheers.